Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. This is the show where we have real, unfiltered conversations with people over 60 who are still working, growing, living with purpose, and refusing to fade quietly into the background. I'm your host, Seb Fry, and I started this podcast because I want to shine a spotlight on the people who are still out there doing the damn thing, building businesses, chasing dreams, raising hell, or just living life on their own terms. So today, to kick things off, I'm very excited to have Mike Pallin here with me today. Mike is an absolute legend and rock star in the real estate world. He is a longtime coach, speaker, and the president of FloydWickman.com, which is an absolute legend in the real estate business, as is FloydWickman.com coaching. He's mentored thousands of agents over the years, myself included, and he's just as sharp and passionate about his work now as he was decades ago. And Mike has got plenty of stories, tons of wisdom, and he's got that no BS style that I love, and I'm hoping you're going to love too. So in this conversation, we're going to talk about staying relevant in your 60s and how he keeps his fire lit, what advice he would give to his self just 10 years ago, and anything else that comes to mind. So whether you're 40, 60, 80, whatever, this one is worth a listen, so let's get into it. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. It is really an honor. And I'd like to start off with this. Where are you in life right now, and what's keeping you fired up these days?
Business keeps me fired up. The love of my life keeps me fired up. And the life that we have crafted keeps me fired up because it's lots of fun and the work is still relevant. And instead of just making a living, we're making a difference. And that keeps me fired up.
All right. Well, that's amazing. I love that. So tell me, Mike, what's your day? Like, you're like a pretty healthy and fit guy, right? So like, what's your secret? Like, what does day to day look like for you? Are you up at like 4:30 and you're out rowing and then having oatmeal, or like, what's that like for you?
I usually awake about 6. But really, the secret is a morning routine. And my wife and I spend most mornings together when we have two homes. One is in Naples, Florida, and one is in Minnesota, where she grew up. This is our second marriage for both of us. And when we're in Florida, we sit out on the lanai with a couple cups of coffee first thing in the morning. Here in Minnesota, it isn't quite so nice, even though it's summertime, to sit outside, but we occasionally do. And we go through a specific morning routine. It all begins just with conversation about anything in general, things that are going to happen today. And then we listen to a recording that puts us in tune with the vibration of wealth, abundance, surplus, if you will. And it's about 7 minutes long. And then we do some reading, usually from either Bible or a church bulletin, or we went through recently a book called Seven Steps to Make Your Marriage Work. So we'd pick a page a day and go through an exercise there. And then we have a list of people who we are grateful for and grateful to and wish blessings on, some who are grieving, some who need health, some who are battling addiction, family members. It's a pretty long list, takes up a whole full page. And I guess you could say we pray for them and ask for blessings, especially our kids and grandkids. And then we do silence. We go into a long silence, and then we take out our journals. We write in our journals. And that's how we start the day. And then we get into work. We take out the to-do list for the week and write down the top 5 things to do for today. And those are the things that guide and direct our activity for the day. It's lots of people have a to-do list. And I know in real estate, it's probably 182 items long. The only problem with having 182 things to do on your to-do list is you cannot physically, it's not possible to get them all done. And so the human tendency is, to look back at the end of the day and say what you didn't get done. Instead, we've been taught that people who are productive work high priority activities consistently. So we pick 5. I think we got it originally from a book called The Rockefeller Habits about John Rockefeller and building the railroads. And he said, If you just focus on the 5 most important things to get done that day, you'll find you get them done and then have lots of time left over for the little less significant things. If you start on the less significant things, you end up frittering away most of the day and don't have time for the important ones. So that's what we do, our top 5 things to do. And then we go to work or we go to play, one or the other.
Well, so it's true. Like you do more before breakfast than most people do all day long. It sounds like.
Well, that's what they say in the Army, right? We do more before breakfast. But yeah,
How long does
I'd
that
like to
take?
craft the day. We also have a routine at the end of the day to put a bow on it, to put a period at the end of that sentence. And being able to start and finish with a routine means whatever happens in between is usually okay.
Well, how long does that morning routine take typically?
Anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes.
Okay, all right. So you're just going right through it, and then your end of day routine. What is that like?
Well, that's looking back at what we did. What was the most important thing that happened to you today? What was the most important thing you accomplished today? What do you feel good about? What are you grateful for? The love and hate are 2 of the most powerful emotions in the universe, but the third, right behind it, is gratitude. And if you can spend the beginning of your day in gratitude and the end of your day in gratitude, you can pretty much survive whatever happens in between.
All right. Well, that is pretty amazing. And do you do this 7 days a week? Is this like 365 days a year?
Yeah, we do it 7 days a week. This is our morning routine. Whenever we're together, when we're apart, we do the routine separately, but we always do the same things. And sometimes we communicate with each other by phone before we start the day. But yeah, that's our day-to-day routine.
Wow, that is amazing, and that requires an extraordinary amount of discipline to do that every day. I'm just blown away, but the results speak for themselves, I guess. So, Mike, is this how you
Yeah.
pictured, your life at this stage, or were you thinking that you would be retired or dead, or like what? What were you thinking? Like, like when you were, I don't know, like 30 years ago. Like, is this where you saw yourself today?
First of all, here's a disclaimer, Seb. Okay, most of the people who reach our age have done such stupid things when they're young. It's a miracle that we're still alive. So you got to be grateful for that. But yes, even early on in life, I had a sense that I was going to be able to create the life I wanted. I didn't know if it would have every single ingredient that would agree with me, but boy, has it ever worked out that way? I got to tell you,
Oh, wow.
it's been a great ride, and it's still going on.
Still going strong, that's for sure. So, Mike, take us back. Like, what's the arc of your career? Like, how did you get into this to begin with? Because you've been doing this a long time now. How did you end up in this line of work?
Well, after I got out of the Army and finished my college degree, I wanted to be a famous musician because I was already a musician. I just wanted to be famous. And what are the odds that you ever become famous as a musician? They're like 1 in a trillion. So after kind of banging my head against the wall for a bunch of years, I got into sales and tried different products. And like most people who get into real estate, I got nudged by somebody into the business. For me, it happened to be my brother-in-law who'd been in real estate for a year and a half. And he showed me what he was doing. And I said, "You mean I could make money doing that? Wow." So I got into real estate. And from real estate, I got hired by a franchising corporation to do training for them because they saw what I did. And we used to have speakers at our sales rallies. And one of my jobs was to drive the speaker from city to city to city. Once every 3 months, once every 2 months, I'd do a 6 city tour with a real estate speaker. So I met them all the people who were on the circuit. And most of them were pretty high strung thoroughbreds. And then one day I met a guy who, strangely enough, was the same person on stage as he was sitting in the seat next to me as we drove from city to city. And I thought I finally found someone who was like really genuine and smart and caring and helped people get results. His name was Floyd Wickman. So I started following him. And it took me 2 years to convince him to bring me on board because he was a one-man band. And I said, if you be my mentor, if you be my teacher, I'll do whatever it is you tell me to do. Well, it took 2 years, and I think I had to ask 3 times before he finally let me teach his program. And the lesson for me there was this: if you're willing to build the habit of always asking for what you want 3 times, never any more, just never any less, you'll almost always get what you want without being pushy. And the 3rd time I asked, he finally said, okay, let's do an experiment. Now that was 35, 40 years ago. And so I became the first trainer to teach a Floyd Wickman program other than Floyd. And the first time out, I got great results, actually better than he'd ever gotten. But that's okay. He's comfortably and happily retired now. And so for the next decades, that's what I did. I went and taught his program, and then I taught people how to teach his program and recruited people to teach his program. And about 16 years ago, we're sitting in a room with a whole bunch of graduates. Now, keep in mind Floyd's program, and you've been through it, you know what it's all about. It's a life-changing experience. There's a couple 100,000 people in real estate who've paid good money to learn the Wickman method of selling real estate. Well, if you remember what was happening in June of '09, I was in a room full of graduates who looked scared to death because they're thinking, how in the world am I going to hit my goal, my production, my income this year when the real estate market has totally disappeared? It's imploded. So I remembered back to how it is that we start off every program with team huddles, where the team gets together and does their numbers and shares best practices and solves problems, gets rid of obstacles and challenges. And I said, you know what? If you'd be willing to get on a call with me once a week for an hour and report your numbers and share what's going on that's working for you and what isn't, and we do that for the next 6 months, I'll bet you I could help you hit your goal, no matter what it is. And I ended up with 24 volunteers those first 6 months. Never forget that. And at the end of 6 months, collectively, they hit 103% of their goal. That's when I had my eureka moment. Holy cow, I think I found something that can really make a difference for people. And for the next 16 years until this year, and it's still going strong, we have 5 coaches. We've coached thousands of people, and we use the same format. We get together with them once a week, and every week they get a chance to wipe the slate clean, turn the page, start fresh, and they report their numbers. We track their activity and results, and that's where you learn what's working and what isn't. That's where you learn how to guide people and coach them. As a coach's real job is to give instant feedback on performance to whoever they're coaching and change their course. Those little corrections usually make all the difference. And then we share best practices and solve problems. We use a brainstorming methodology called Mastermind. And any of you who are familiar with Napoleon Hill's work, Think and Grow Rich, have heard of the Mastermind principle. Henry Ford invented that years and years ago. And it still works to this day. And there's even a scriptural basis for it. It says, whenever 2 or more of you are gathered, whenever 2 minds come together in a spirit of harmony for a common goal, they create a third mind or a mastermind. And for the last 16 years, in addition to classroom teaching, we've been doing that kind of coaching. And for me, there's no greater thrill than helping people hit their goal, whatever it is, small, big, significant or insignificant. If you can get what you want from this business You can be the right kind of person who thrives, not just survives, the kind who serves their clients and is a real credit to the industry. And that for us is the number one thing, that we create great people.
Yeah, well, not only a credit to the industry or their clients, but to their community, really, and to their families. I mean, you're
Sure.
helping to
Well,
build better people.
if you're experiencing the kind of income you can from real estate, it isn't just for your benefit. It filters down. You're right, to the family, to the community, to all the businesses you touch. Yeah, it's great. It's entrepreneur at its highest levels.
Yeah. So that
You're
sounds like a
dark.
major turning point in your career. Have there been any other major turning points along the way?
Yeah, there was. And at the risk of being coy or a little bit private, I left an unhappy marriage, maybe way too late. And I left it with nowhere to go, no next step in mind. I just had to get out. And that's when I met the current love of my life, the person who's the wind beneath my wings. And she was under my nose all the time. We'd been best friends for years and worked together. But all of a sudden, we just looked at each other and said, we belong together and committed to each other. And it's been the best 11 years of my life.
All right, that's
I,
amazing.
I'm the
So
happiest I've been.
is this what keeps you in the game so long? Is your partner what's kept you in the game so long, or is it the success that you've had, or the impact that you make on people's lives? Like, what do you think that it is?
Well, it's all of those things. And it's two more principles. One is Floyd has entrusted me with his legacy. Napoleon Hill has a foundation. Zig Ziglar has a foundation. A lot of the greats, their work continues. I'm sure whenever Tony Robbins leaves the planet, he's going to leave behind an organization that's going to be dedicated to maintaining his legacy. Well, Floyd has entrusted his to me and to Mary. And that's what really keeps us in the game and keeps us sharp, is we know there's lots of people depending on us. And at the same token, he's got a philosophy that's pretty much 180 degrees opposite from many of the people out there who train and mentor and coach real estate agents. And if that philosophy disappears, then a lot of the people who look to a real estate agent to meet their needs and serve them are going to be ill served. It's like he always said, if they don't get you, they might end up with the cigar chopper. And that's somebody who doesn't care about them. So, he's always said caring about what other people care about is what caring is all about, because people don't care what you know till they know that you care about them, about what they care about. So,
Amen to that. And he does certainly have an amazing legacy that I'm sure is going to go on for a long, long time. Well, that's
well, if I have anything
terrific.
to say about it, I will.
Well, okay. So now let me ask you this. I don't know. I mean, like when you and I talked years ago about the ideal clients that I would serve, which
Yes.
is an older demographic. I really never thought of them as like an older demographic. Like they never like presented themselves as like particularly older, right? They had wrinkles and gray hair, but they never really seemed all that old to me personally, just on a day-to-day interaction. So what do you think that people get wrong about being in your 60s or beyond? What's a common fallacy that people buy into that's just not true?
Wrinkles and gray hair just come with the territory. It's how you feel. It's how you think. It's do you stay curious? Do you stay alive? We read a book a couple years back that I almost think is as important as the Bible to us, and it's called Younger Next Year. That's a great way to think about the arc of your life, and how to take care of yourself as you stay on the planet longer. And we all are staying on the planet longer, you know. Gee, Dick Van Dyke just celebrated his 100th birthday, and he's
Wow.
out dancing and singing and entertaining still. Yeah, we're around for a longer period of time. You know, the thing I hate hearing, oh, I'm too old for that. Oh, I'm too old. That's just people who've given up. When you give up, that's when you start to fade away. So think young, think younger, take good care of yourself, and be grateful. And don't get that wrong. If you get that right, you're going to be around for a while and be vital and happy and productive.
So is there anything that's really surprised you about getting older? Or is it all like, this is what you expected?
Well, yeah, two things, and it's usually the same two things that surprise older people. One is how quick it got here, how fast it passes. I remember once I was teaching a program in Maine, and I just had my first child. And one of the students came up to me and said, "You know, you're going to turn around and he's going to be asking for the keys to the car before you know it." And he was right. It passed in the blink of an eye. Yeah. That was,
Yeah.
that was pretty amazing how fast it came. But here's the other thing that has always amazed me. If you just relax and go with the flow, most of the stuff you worry about never happens. I remember Floyd once made a list, and he made us all do this as an exercise. He said, I want you to write down everything you're worried about right now. Now, my list was 82 things long.
Oh, wow.
And he said, and it's not just the things you're worrying about now. I want you to write down the things you used to worry about. And then we revisited this list a year later. And he said, okay, now, what actually happened among those 82 things you were worrying about in the moment? And 81 of them didn't. None of them happened. Yeah, worry is worthless. It's wasted time. It really is.
Right, and that's some sage advice there. Yeah, like a long time ago, in my 20s, I was a computer guy, and one of my project managers told me there's two very important rules: never sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Very true.
So how have you like evolved as like a coach and as just like a human being and like your purpose in life? How has that changed as you've gotten older, or has it stayed the same?
Yeah. I was initially attracted to doing what we do as an instructor, as a trainer, as a teacher, as a coach, because I was smart and I had all the answers. And I was out to impress people. And I needed that approval. It's like showbiz people, you know. They love the spotlight. And that was initially what attracted me to this. Ego. When I started focusing on the people I was working with and helping them and being proud of what they accomplished as opposed to what I was accomplishing, that changed everything about 180 degrees. If there's an evolution, that's it. Ego is so less important to me. What's important to me is how, I think, who is the poet laureate of America that I know what the caged bird sings. I forget her name. She said this. This quote is attributed to her. People forget what you do and they forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel.
I believe that's Maya Angelou who
Maya
said that.
Angelou, that's right. And
Right. And that certainly is actually very, very true. So
yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. Have you read that book, Ego is the Enemy?
yes,
Yeah. And like, like as like people like look at like people like Steve Jobs maybe or Elon Musk or people like that, and say, well, look how much they accomplished and they had huge egos. Well, the thing is they accomplished that in spite of their egos, not because of their egos.
Yeah, and sometimes ego will drive you to be accomplishers. I think you'd be happier if you focus on the helping other people. Ultimately,
Right. Well, what Zig Ziglar said, you can get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want in life.
that's Zig. Yeah.
That's Zig. Yeah, a lot of Zig Ziglar sure knew a lot about life too. So, Mike, listen, you're in pretty good shape. What's your secret? What do you do? I mean, we know your morning routine, which I think probably has a lot to do with how you maintain your your good health and whatnot. But do you have like a routine, like an exercise routine, or a special diet that you follow, or any tips you can
Um,
give us there?
Sometime last year, we were introduced to regenerative farming, the whole principle of regenerative farming, and a book called um, Kiss the Ground. And it's really about the history of agriculture since the beginning of time and how tilling the soil destroys the soil. Whereas if you can use cover crops, you'll use less pesticides and less chemicals on the food, and it'll have more nutritional value. So we're transitioning to more of a plant-based diet. And I think that's contributed greatly to it. Now, when we're in Florida, we play pickleball every day, which works up a great sweat, gets your blood going and your pressure up. And I'll swim laps in our pool. During the summer, mostly I play golf, probably 3 or 4 times a week now, because I don't work 168 hours a week. I probably work 40. So that leaves plenty of room, another 128 to sleep and eat and play golf. So that's how it, and that keeps me flexible. As growing up and through high school and college, I was a swimmer. And I think that really helped to create flexibility and longevity in the tendons and muscles and joints. Most of the people I know who are having trouble with that played football or rugby or something destructive, to their body. So I like being physically active, and I like being mentally active. We read books a lot. We watch documentaries and things like TED Talks, but we also watch entertainment. But it's really, we expose ourselves to new ideas all the time, and Kiss the Ground was one of them. So moving towards a plant-based diet, I think, while it might not save the planet, I'm willing to do my part.
Terrific. Yeah, I'll have to add that to my reading list. And I don't have a plant-based diet, but I have probably a more plant-based diet than the average person does. And I'm all about fiber these days. I'm really big into the gut microbiome, and that
Yes.
really needs a lot of fiber, which most Americans don't get hardly any fiber really because they eat so much ultra-processed foods, and that can't be good for you.
Yeah, Food or Fiction was another book that we got about, and that's all about processed foods and how bad they are for you. We've got this obesity epidemic, which is leading to diabetes, but now you can take drugs to get rid of the fat. So
Yeah, right, exactly. I can't
it
wait for
all
the
figured out if you stop eating processed foods.
right, exactly. I mean, I can't wait for the Ozempic lawsuits, right? Which class action Ozempic lawsuits. I'm sure they're coming. So, all right. Well, that's some good reading. I'm gonna put that in the show notes, by the way. So, all these books that you recommend, I'm gonna read them. Although mostly these days I do Audible. Do you actually read the books? You actually read books?
Yeah. Read,
Wow,
we read with a highlighter in our hands.
wow.
You
All
know,
right.
and that's how we go back, and that's what we discuss in the mornings. When we sit, we think about those ideas that we put in our head yesterday and the day before. And yeah, we both are physical book people. Neither of us are audibles. And I do a lot of travel in the car, but so far I haven't gotten into audible books.
Well,
I
there's
know.
so many wonderful podcasts to listen to in the car,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, all right. Okay, well, now we're going to get into the segment of the show which I call the uncensored truth. So, let me ask you this, Mike. What like pisses you off about being older? Is there anything? I mean, you seem like you've settled into it pretty well. Is there anything though that go like, man, this sucks?
Yeah, one thing especially, and that's all the weird little things that start growing on your skin. And so we see a dermatologist at least once a year, and she takes out the freezer gun and freezes them off. So, yeah, I wish my skin were perfect, but you get little things growing on you, and you got to get rid of them. But
Well, you
really
got to
very
go
little
that.
me off. I suppose if it's one thing, it's when you go to a restaurant and you put your order in, and then they bring the food out, and the person who's serving doesn't remember what you ordered because it's two different people. Who's got the chicken? I feel silly. Say, oh, that's mine. You should know that. Nah, that very little pisses me off, Seb.
Do you find that you have less patience now or more patience now
Oh,
that you're
way more
older?
patience now.
Way more patience now.
Oh, way more. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way. It's it's oh yeah, especially driving.
Right, right.
It's oh well.
Yeah.
I won't get there as fast, but I'll get there more often. Go ahead.
Right, right. So, is that something that you would say has gotten better with age, like increased patience? Anything else that has gotten better with age? Maybe a lot of things have gotten better with age, sounds like.
Well, I know Toby Keith said it really well. The late great Toby Keith said, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was." And I'll leave that to your imagination.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. I like that. All right. So now, what's your most unpopular belief or opinion that you have about life or business or aging that you don't care if anybody knows?
An unpopular
An
belief.
unpopular opinion.
You
Yeah.
sent me this question in advance, and boy, I don't know that I have any unpopular beliefs. Um, I already said it. When people say I'm too old for that.
Right.
One of the
Right.
people we play pickleball with in Florida just had his 90th birthday,
Wow.
and he's out there every day.
Right.
So, shut up. Stop saying you're too old. Do you know words have such an incredible effect on your life? The words you use, it's it's just remarkable.
Oh
In
yeah.
the morning when we use vision boards and we visualize what it is we want to manifest in our life, because the more science discovers what's out there in outer space. I think Wallace Wattles said it in 1911 in The Science of Getting Rich. He said, "There's a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought that is imaged in this stuff creates the thing. We create our own world, we create our reality, and we do it with imagery, visualization, and gratitude, and impressing on that thinking stuff. They say the universe is made up of 95% dark matter. We don't know what's out there. We don't, it's star stuff. You and I are a member of that generation. Good Morning Starshine. The, uh, the post hippie generation. We believe in peace and love. And we believe in a universe that loves us, a universe that's becoming aware of itself, that's consciousness. And if you tell the universe what you want, it will become true in your life. Because the universe is looking at you saying, don't make me guess what you want. Tell me what you want, and you can have it. But don't make me guess. We're pretty
Right.
powerful beings.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that 100%. I think that well, that's one of the lessons that you get from Think and Grow Rich, right? I mean, like you are what you say you are. Essentially, you are what you think about. You attract what you think about.
And Earl
Definitely.
Nightingale said it. We become what we think about.
Earl Nightingale, yeah.
Yeah, lead the
Inaugural
field.
Nightingale. So, Mike, let me ask you this. If you could go
Yeah.
back and talk to yourself just 10 years ago, is there anything that you would want to tell your 10-year prior self that you know today that you've just learned in the last 10 years only?
Yeah, take some more chances. It's going to be okay. You mentioned Steve Jobs earlier, and he said, you got to cannibalize your products. You know, I'm talking about business here.
Yeah,
Because nobody carries a Walkman around anymore or an iPod because it's on their phone now,
right,
which is not a phone, it's a computer.
right.
And so we've had a great run with live classroom training. And we had a wonderful run with live stream training when COVID hit. We translated it to online. And we've had a great run with coaching. I'm reviving the Sweat Hogs brand, Floyd's original program, because the principles that made it so good still apply today. But what you got to do is create a new format, deliver it in a new, compelling way, and update the content so it's relevant. You know, look at all the changes in our industry just in the last 18 months. I think the pace of change is accelerating, especially with your company being a real thought leader, you know, in how we serve the client base of America. That's fantastic stuff coming out of Compass Real Estate, especially like what your leader had to say recently about not sharing, not monetizing listing information. They're willing to
Yeah,
share it if they do that. That's just so darn smart.
yeah,
And
no,
if
and
you're
that
willing
is so
to go
right.
out there and cannibalize that, meaning take what you've got and create something new with it, true to the principles of what made it great in the first place. That's the advice I'd give myself. Do it quicker, take more chances.
That is good advice. And you know, like I think that a lot of people are afraid to take chances, right? It's basically fear and worry, right, about the unknown. And I think that people, when they get older, they tend to want to take less chances. But you're
Yeah,
saying that as you get older, maybe it's even better to take more chances as you get older.
I think you heard me well. Yeah.
All right. So now, what do you think is one truth that you wish people really understood more about getting older and staying active and staying, you know, sharp and you know, being a player like you are yourself?
We have we have five physical senses. And as you get older, some of them sort of dim a little bit. Like you don't see as clearly as you used to, or you don't hear as well as you used to, or food might not taste as good as it used to, or the smells bother you. So the five physical senses don't last forever, but there are five other senses that I think the more you pay attention to them and embrace them, the more it's going to serve you to lead a really fulfilling life. And I think the first is a sense of direction. Most people are pretty darn aimless. They don't have specific goals that are measurable, that have a time limit on it, that they visualize, and that it's something they want for themselves, not something somebody else told them to want. It's an inner drive. And if you're willing to follow your sense of direction and be clear about it, like I said, the universe doesn't say make me guess, right? You got to be clear. The second is a sense of accomplishment. That's why I'm still in the game, because I love what we're accomplishing. Like I said, making a difference, not just a living. And I love with you. What was one of the first things we did when we coached together was I had you look at your recurring payments, and it saved you like $1,000 a month just by doing that. I love helping people realize this can be better. This can be easier, more fun. The third is, I think, that sense of wonder. we're discovering things about the universe that'll blow your mind. We read a book called The Biology of Belief. And this book is a game changer. It was written by a cellular biologist, someone who studied individual cells in the body his entire life. And he said, what you think changes the way your cells behave. And he's got scientific proof of it. That just makes my jaw drop. That's so fun. So that sense of wonder, how vast it is and how tiny it is and how interconnected everything is. I think that the fourth is a sense of belonging. You know, we have a tendency as we get older to shut ourselves off from other people. And yet, the more I go out and befriend people and talk to them and interact with them, create community with them, the more I love being on this planet. And if there's a fifth, it's your sense of intuition, that sixth sense. Pay attention to the hunches, to those little taps on the shoulder you get during the day, to the little small voice. When you can run with those five senses, life is an adventure. It's not just something you want to get through without too much discredit.
Wow. Wow, that was amazing. It was an amazing answer. Wow, Mike, thanks. So we do have to start wrapping this up, but I just got a couple of more questions for you.
Okay.
What are you most excited about that's coming up for you, like personally or professionally, in the next year or two?
Well, LFTs are part of our routine, things you look forward to. And it isn't just a little thing like I'm going to have my toes polished this week. We're going to Europe for the first time together in
Oh,
September.
wow.
Yeah, our daughter is standing up in a wedding somewhere in the hinterlands of France. And they have a new baby, so they asked us to babysit while they go to the wedding. So we're going to go there and babysit and then hop around Paris and Rome and Florence and see things we've always wanted to see. You know, we watched a show called The Medici last year and introduced us to Florence like I'd never seen it before. And I said, we got to go there and see that. And, you know, Mary's been a couple times, but I've never been to Europe. So that's what I look forward to in the next year. I'm playing in a golf tournament with my brother. We've done it for 20 years. It's a 3-day member guest invitational. Got sweathogs.com coming up, cannibalizing our product and creating something new. And there's lots to look forward to in the next year or two.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting next year or two. That's for sure. All right. Well, that's exciting that you're going to Europe. I've been there many times, but not
Yep.
lately. And it certainly is an incredible place to explore. So I know you're going to have an amazing time out there with Mary, especially with your grandkid, right? That's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a big LFT. All right. So listen, before we go, let me ask you this. Who should I have next on my podcast? Who do you think?
Yeah.
You're going to
You
be a
know,
tough act to follow. I understand that. So, but anyone else you can recommend?
well, it's a little tricky saying these people are in their 60s because one of them's a woman, and you know, women can be a little bit sensitive about age. But one of the women I coach is just so unbelievably remarkable. Her name is Laura Ballestero. She's a real estate agent in Massachusetts and has just such a gigantic heart. But she is super productive, and actually, her mother is 90 years old and still selling real estate full time as well. So I'd say Laura Ballestero would be the next person you want to talk to.
Maybe we could have them both on the podcast, right? If she's
That would
90,
be awesome. Yeah.
90 plus. Well, Mike, I want to thank you so much. This has been really amazing. And half the books, two-thirds of the books you mentioned, I'd never heard of before. So I see that I have a lot of reading to do.
Oh,
So
can
I'm
I
going to,
mention one more book, Seb?
oh, yeah, please do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote my first book about 6 months ago. It's called Rethink Everything You Know About Selling Real Estate.
All
That's,
right. Yeah, I have a copy. I'm halfway through. That was given to me. Where do you get your book? Is it on Amazon?
it's on Amazon, yeah. Rethink Everything You Know About Selling Real Estate.
All right. Well, I'm sure that a lot of realtors are going to be watching this because, there's a lot of realtors out there, and when they see your name, they're for sure going to want to take a gander. So I hope they do take advantage and read that book. So now, for those people who aren't realtors and they want to get a hold of you and just talk and lap up some more of your wisdom, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Mike at floydwickman.com.
Mike at floydwickman.com. All right. Well, that's FLOYDWICKMAN.com,
Yeah.
right? So, all right. Terrific. Okay, Mike, that's all I got. Listen, man, thank you so very, very much. And I can see that I have a lot to look forward to as I hit 60 and beyond. So, thank you so very much.
Seb, this was an honor. To be your first guest, it just blows me away. What an honor. And I think you're going to have a great time and big success with this.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. All right, Mike. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Subscribe now